All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Run, REI Sports Network, and this is where we go REI Access Live, all that great stuff. I don't know. We're figuring it out. This is new, and this is fun, and we're excited on our very first episode to have Sarah Williams. She is the co-founder and she is the director of education at Premier Prep, aka Premier Preparatory Online Academy, who is phenomenal. And without her and her co-founder Eric, all things like this would not be possible for those in the sports world who want to educate and educate on a high level. So I'm excited to be able to kick off our very first episode with her. And we're just going to discuss the importance of what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. And just kind of give you some updates and some information to take away. So, with all that, let's go. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Debrina. Thank you. So excited to be here with REI Prep
I am
on the show.
so glad you're here. So glad you're here. So, this has been crazy. It's been almost 2 months. That's it.
Yeah, very exciting. Yes.
But that's for us. How long has it been for you guys?
So Premier Prep Online Academy, we're going into our fourth school year, but we've been a concept, an original idea, since I think it was the 21-22 school year. We were approved and by the charter authorization, our charter authorizer, the charter board for the state of Arizona. So we've been a concept for quite some time. It took a little while. The authorization process is a long process. They want to ensure that we're governed properly, we are securely financed, that we have, a process for enrollment, all sorts of things, because we're a public charter school in Arizona. But yeah, we're going into our fourth school year. We're super excited because we've graduated, so many great students the last few years, and they're off, doing what they love in college, in athletics, or just, in life. So we're excited to keep going and to add more partners like REI Prep.
Awesome. So, off the top of your head, what are some of the schools? Because that is some, I don't even think we've talked about like to that extent. What are some of the schools that these students are going to or have gone to? Where's been their
Yeah.
next step?
We've had students at, one of my favorite stories is our valedictorian from a couple years ago. He went to Troy University to play with his brother, and his
Oh,
dad ended up coaching, his assistant coach. And his freshman year, he played off the bench, and they won the Sun Belt Championship and played in the tournament. As a 16 seed last year, they won the Sun Belt tournament again, and he was a starter as a sophomore. Played in the tournament. Kind of a brutal loss to Nebraska, which was a little bit of a bummer. But now both him and his brother have entered the transfer portal, and they're
oh,
playing at Liberty University next year. So we have students at Fresno State, Grand Canyon, Kansas. I mean, just all over the place. Where we have students at Pima Community College. We had the freshman of the year last year. We have students at a small NAIA in Iowa, and they had a fantastic first year. So we have students at every level, and they're just really prepared to be a college athlete, and that's our goal. Success for us is that they graduate and they go to college and they stay. They have all the skills that they need to stay academically and
right.
athletically, and even if they move schools or move programs because they're transferring up, and they're transferring with their academics in place, and they're eligible to continue playing. So it's really fun to watch your students on TV.
Right,
And to root
exactly.
for them. It's a good time. Yeah.
And I think that's a key part that's really important with what you guys have built is a lot of people don't realize, like, yeah, it's like right out the rip, the coursework that you guys have just built internally is NCAA approved, NAIA,
Yep.
NAIA. There's the beautiful relationship with ASU. We'll touch on that here shortly, but it is about, and like I'm a person, I was a student athlete, coach, AD. I've gone through that rec, the whole nine, charter, high school, little people, And my whole thing always was, I would ask them, I'm like, you're a student athlete, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, so what are you first? Student.
Yeah.
Coach Wright, I'm a student. I'm like, okay. I said, so that's what we focus on, because here's my thing. If you're not eligible, right? If you're not doing what you need to do, you can't play.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't matter
and
what
then vice
offers you get.
versa.
You can't play.
Yeah. But it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if you could play, like, right, if you're actually great and you're good enough to play to get somewhere, guess what? But if academically you're not doing what you're doing,
Correct.
they're not going to enroll you at that level.
Correct.
You know, the good
Yeah.
thing is there
You-
are options, but
We want them to be prepared for the best option. There's
Right.
multiple purposeful pathways, and we want them to be prepared for what happens if you get injured. What happens if you can't play any longer? Are you going to go into coaching? Are you going to go into media? Are you going to go into some other form? Because there's so many things around the game that you love. And it's not just basketball. We have soccer teams, we have baseball. We just want the students to be able to do what they love for as long as they can, and have that be the train that drives them into a scholarship. But we also want them to get an academic scholarship, because sometimes that's the only way you're eligible for a program, because they don't have
Correct.
enough money to pay for you. So
Correct.
we want them to just have as many options open and as many doors open as possible, and then they choose the one. And we prepare them for that top. We have to prepare them to be a D1 athlete. That's the top. That's the dream.
Right.
And we want them to be ready for that. And if anything that falls underneath that is just extra.
And you made a good point. You could be D1 material. You can be fabulous, right? But and the program could want you, but they may not have the money, right? So it's like we would love for you to play for us, but we've already reached our cap. People. It's the same thing like you see in the NBA or anything like. There's a salary cap, right? So there's the same thing. There's a scholarship cap. So, but if you can get in academically on an academic scholarship, hey, that opens up another door for you to still be able to play with them, because guess what, they're gonna use that to their advantage, which is your advantage, right? So the player can still play with that school. It's just the fact that they're coming in on an academic scholarship, because again, sometimes they just don't have enough of the funds to do so. And it's not that they don't want you, they just can't afford you. And it is, college can be expensive. Someone who has a 20 plus year background in education, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah. It doesn't hurt you to have multiple options, especially if the academics can help. Because you could just be a brilliant D2 player, but you really need the academics. That could be just your sweet spot where
Yeah.
you could really shine, but you have to have the academics to back that up. And thankfully, that has happened the majority of the time with our students, but we've really had to be intentional about sharing with them so they understand. Because initial eligibility is a student's responsibility, and most freshmen in high school have no idea what that even means. That's
Correct.
what the NCAA expects, is that you are in control of your eligibility. So we try to get them started in understanding that as soon as possible.
yes. And I think it's important for the parents to understand that as well. So even with that, like, you guys do a great job informing the family, and that's something we're definitely pushing, because again, it is about the whole student with us. And then even with us, we, after sitting back and thinking about it, I think I even called you and I confirmed. I was like, so as long as they're in the state of Arizona, they can be a student, right? And you said yes. There isn't a requirement for that where they have to sit with us. They do have their academic requirements that they have to hit. So with that, I took it and ran, because again, I come from a background here currently where I work with semi-pro and pro teams. I work with overseas players, the whole nine. But to make that happen, people don't realize, to make the game happen, there's like 23 hours or 22 hours of work that's happening for the 2 hours, right, in a day. There's everything that's happening behind the scenes. And I've been blessed and honored to have some high school students from the East Valley that has come and assist me with my men's teams, practices at games, same thing, ASU students, GCU. So it's, and they've gone on, I've seen them now work with the Suns and with Mercury, or with Cardinals, or just go overseas.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and and these are young-minded people. They don't it's traditional schooling to them, and these days it is traditional. It is, whatever fuels your passion, right? Is the reason why you're going to school. I want to be a
Right.
doctor. I want to be a police officer. I want to own a business. I want, like, even an accountant. People have a passion to be an accountant. So be it. Love you. Have a great time. But
Yeah.
there's the ones, like you say, they love the game, but they might not be able to play the game at an elite level. But they know how to capture the game. They see the game. They want to coach the game. They want to work with the athletes. So that was definitely a track that we built in, which was the sports career pathway,
Yeah.
along with the student. And then it was like, I have two sons, and you know what? Their love language is gaming. I know that my oldest
Right.
son is in the Navy, so he's away from home. And there's a lot of times where the three of us are on FaceTime, and what's happening? The two of them are locked in and playing live and playing games. So that's the way they can still communicate and connect. But
Right.
also, what people don't realize is GCU, these schools are giving out scholarships to go to their school to play on their team. Like,
Right.
this is competitive. I know some people who play pro in China and, like, overseas. Like, they're making money. This is like, it's phenomenal. And so we created a esports and gaming track because, again, hey, guess what? Just need to be at home, have a connection. You're already gaming. Let's show you how to do it properly. So, but
Correct.
in the same time, Sarah has created a situation where we can educate you as well. So you can still get what we call your Sweet 16. You can get your math, get your English, get your background, get some college courses done at ASU at the same time. And guess what? You can still graduate high school and be ready and hopefully get picked up. So you don't have to get a basketball scholarship. You can literally get an
Correct.
esports scholarship and still go to school. So I think that is cool. So again, I wholeheartedly thank you for this opportunity to be able to bring this type of platform to these students out here. So excited about that. What are your thoughts about the direction that education is going and having this as an option for parents and for families that are looking for a different way to educate their students, their kids?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of, I think upheaval is the right word, but just some reckoning. The education system, the systems that exist in education are a lot of times archaic or just don't meet students where they are at now. Like the job report, the top skills for, from the World Forum for 2025, most of them are technology, but the rest of them, the top three are technology, the rest of them are human skills, connection, collaborating, all of these things. And so we just want it to be an option for families, athlete or not, if you want to have some traditional, like there is traditional, we follow the standards because we're a public school. We
Correct.
have a standard graduation track. We
Correct.
do have a lot of traditions built in to a very non-traditional platform, which is online learning and a virtual platform. But what we want to be is a place where students can come and just demonstrate what they know. The world is our oyster right now. You can look up anything, but that's
Right.
a surface level learning. So we want students to really think critically, think deeply, to make connections, and then to come ready to show what they learned, to demonstrate their learning. I always say, I don't know if you can do a cartwheel unless you show me that you can do a cartwheel. So it's great that you could answer a multiple choice, question about a cartwheel or Google, cartwheel. But I need you to know that you can do a cartwheel. You have to show me, and that's kind of how we in Algebra 1. I need to know that you can answer and solve this problem. We have to show me. So we have really taken on a competency-based education model where the students, they're coming in with so many various levels of knowledge and learning. They can look it up, everything is look upable, but we want them, when they're ready to demonstrate their knowledge, they're meeting with a teacher, they're meeting with
Right.
a human, they're doing a task that shows and proves that they're learning. And so I just think, besides the seat time, archaic system of like seat time where the Carnegie unit is built on seat time and having your actual bottom in a seat, that's something that's changing with the Carnegie Institute. But these things are all coming, and these changes are all coming in education. And so we just want to be a little bit ahead of the curve. We've really done taken our time to research what's the best practices in learning, and those things have not changed. It's just the way that those things are delivered. We build relationships with students. We're a safe place for students to learn. We want to stay connected with our learners and our families, and we want to provide them a pathway that they can do something that they love, which you shouldn't have to wait until you're 18 years old to do. There's why. Like, we just made up a rule about it.
Right.
If you love something at 14 years old, you should be able to do that.
You should be able to do that.
You should be able to do that. And then it just gives you a better, I think, a better chance at having those things later on in life too, because you've established those work habits, you've established those things early on. But what we want to be is we're still providing rigorous academic structure, and we're still asking students to learn, but we're just doing it in a different way.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and you made it clear again. You shouldn't have to wait till you're quote unquote an adult or till you've graduated school. You should be able to go into college, especially because that's something that they actually look at, right? They look at what type of experience you have going into college to even accept your application. So to be able to go in and have a portfolio and show that you already know how to take pictures, or that you're doing video, or that you know how to design merch, or you understand sales and partnership, you understand the data of the game, you understand the IQ, you understand recovery, mindset, wellness, all these different things. Even with esports, it's strategic thinking. It's how do you manage a YouTube channel? It's how do you control your branding? Like, there's so many things around these different career paths. They're not just passion paths, right? They're now actually career paths, and these are ways that they can actually make money. And so this makes it possible. And then another thing that has shifted is when we were in school, the kids love when we said, back in the day,
Yeah.
traveling for us was maybe going to a school an hour away. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Traveling now for them is they're going out of state several times in a season, but in middle school and high school, and we're still wanting them to stay on their academics. And I'll be honest, I had a situation where I have a family member who coaches at a school in the Midwest, whose main priority, it's a private school, main priority is academics, but their basketball team was doing well. And it was so funny, and I didn't even think I would have the opportunity even to repeat this situation or story. They made it to playoffs, like state, like this is a big thing,
Awesome.
right?
Yeah.
And in that model of education, there was a teacher that literally said to a student, "I hope you don't win because you need to be in class."
Correct. Right. Yeah.
No.
Right. There's so much.
No.
If you have a teacher that doesn't like makeup workers and supportive of what you're doing, and I think teachers are the salt of the earth. Like, I was a teacher for more years than I've been an admin, but I always wanted my students to do what they loved and
They
to
won.
be who they were.
They won the championship.
Sure. Yeah. But that's what you don't want to have to come up against. You don't want to have to fight to get your kid. I don't even like when my kids are out sick, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're going to have to do like 5 days worth of makeup work for missing one day. And again, that's not necessarily against the teacher. It's just the system that we're stuck in a little bit. And so, even the Arizona Institute for Education and the Economy is just really leading this force to redesign school from a 1.0, which is what we're into, a 2.0, to what we're moving towards, to a 3.0. And, we're a part of that conversation. We're at the table with like large districts in Arizona, business leaders, all sorts of things. And we really want, there's a lot of people in Arizona who really want what's best for kids, and are seeing that a traditional school day is not always the answer for everyone.
And that's the thing. No one's knocking the traditional school. It's just not for everyone. If you are on the road and you're winning, if you have to be at a tournament that plays on Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, or sometimes Thursday through Saturday, you should still be able to get your work done. log in and get
Yep.
support. And this is the model that you've created where they're still on track while away. But just like me, I go to the airport and first thing I do as soon as I get through TSA, laptop comes up and I can do
Yeah.
work.
You're
We
just,
can create
yeah.
that culture with
Right.
our students. You're sitting there for 2 hours. Be productive. Ask
Well,
questions.
and I just think, why, if we're allowed to do it as adults, I get that we're older, but it's not necessarily, you have to like earn it. it. Kids have rights too, they have the right to pursue what they love. And I think they're better people for it when they're allowed that pathway. And they are more engaged in their learning when they're doing something that they love.
And it teaches
So,
them accountability and ownership,
mhm.
right?
Right, and then it's relevant to their life because they can do a full school day in a couple hours a day. They can get what they need to get done, and then they can move on. But it does teach them time management skills. And a lot of parents are, they wonder, how does this prepare them for college? And I'm like, well, when you go to college,
That's
and
what
you only have class on Tuesday,
That's what I
Wednesday,
was
and
heading
Thursday.
next.
What are you doing on Monday and Friday? Universities, as
Right.
much as I love like all the clubs and all the things that a student can do, I think those are very valuable. But it's also very valuable to know how to manage your time. It's also very valuable to know how to communicate with a professor. It's very
Yes.
valuable to
Yes.
be, who you are yourself, so that when challenges arise, which they will on a college campus, or they will in a workforce, or if you're an entrepreneur, these challenges will arise. You're ready for them because you faced challenges before. You figured
Yep.
some things out on your own. No one else did it for you. And
Yeah.
that's what we're providing, those opportunities for these essential skills in life.
And it is, there's that, because there is that shock of when they go away to college. And first of all, it's like, wait, I don't have to go to school every day, or oh, I can pick my schedule, or if I don't go, no one's watching. No, maybe or maybe not. But then also, it's like, don't fail yourself. Like it's still, and this is the thing, if we're preparing them now and getting them used to, because that was one of the things the schedule when we built, we did a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. You know what I mean? And we have alternating Fridays or Friday workshop, like just something that mirrors what's going to happen when they go away to school. And then again, now let's bring in the fact that you might be a player and you have to travel. But even here's the other thing. If you're in a sports career, right? So if you're a team manager, guess what? You're not on the team, but you're on the team. You're still traveling.
It's a
If you're the
full-time job.
photographer and video, you're still so you guys are still missing classes. So let's get you used to being able, like you said, to manage your time,
Yeah.
be productive, and teach them how to do this when they're away and give them those tools. Because maybe you're the one that goes to such and such school and implements study groups or study lunch or meals or dinners while you guys are traveling, or figure out
Right.
something with us. Like these are things and tricks, right? Tips and tricks that we teach you how to be successful and enjoy it and still be able to do what you love. Because again, if you fail academically, what's that? If if you don't pay, you don't play. So
Yeah.
if you don't pay, you mean do your work. Because I tell my kids all the time, what's your job? Your only job is to go to school. That is your only job. So do it. Yeah. Okay. I like it. Oh, so now let me touch on something and ask you about it. Because this is something that's, to me, I consider like a new phenomenon that's happening for several reasons. Let's have a quick conversation about reclassification.
It was on the news the other day, and I was like, "Whoop, okay, there it is." There was like a news story. It wasn't about us, but like just
Yeah,
a news
it
story.
just touched like, but
Yes.
this is a thing. So first, what is reclassification?
Okay. Reclassification is when you repeat one grade level prior to high school so that you have an additional year. And the reason why I say prior to high school is because you don't repeat grades in high school. You repeat failed credits. And we don't want to repeat failed credits.
Correct.
That's the best way, is to repeat a grade level. It's now more apparent in 8th grade. Some students repeat, in elementary school. That's their reclassification year. You're not repeating multiple times because there is some age considerations. But what we say is that you're repeating a grade level in order to improve or grow. It's not always tied to academics. At this point, it's not tied. It's often more tied to athletics. And then the only other pathway is to take a postgrad year. That 5th year is after you graduate high school. You graduate high school in 4 years, and then you do a postgrad year. But with the new NCAA ruling, they're kind of closing that loophole because they want you to take that time in college. They're giving you that year in college. So we really, the NCAA says you need to have your 16 core credits done in 8 consecutive semesters from the start of your 9th grade year. That's 4 years of high school. You should be ready to go off. So if a student wants to reclassify, changing cohort years, that would be done, that needs to be done prior to high school. And so that's what we're seeing with a lot of students families asking to repeat 8th grade.
Okay.
Not because they failed 8th grade, but because they want another additional year for growth.
For growth, and that can be skill level, that can be maturity.
That could be physical growth. It could be social, emotional growth. It could be maturity.
Okay.
There's lots of reasons why.
Okay.
We've had repeating 8th graders who are going to go play football in high school, and they're just not big. They're not big. We don't have a football program. They're just come in and, then they are successful, getting onto the JV squad or the varsity squad as a freshman, as opposed to having to wait. And that just provides them with more opportunity. But they trained their butts off that repeating 8th grade year to get bigger and stronger. They didn't just sit around. And they also did an amazing job at school. It's not a free year, it's not a free year if you're enrolled with us.
Correct.
If you're enrolled at our school, it's not a free year.
Correct. You're still, so then what's happening with those classes that they're taking? So are they taking the same classes? Are they just taking the next level up, and then now academically they're coming ahead if they're not having to repeat classes? What does that look like academically?
So academically, we just have taken the stance of it's like a halvesy. Middle schoolers, traditional districts, large districts, small districts, want their middle schoolers to be accelerated. They often provide pathways for middle schoolers to be accelerated in foreign language or math or science. So we kind of take that approach that if you've done really well, then you're going to accelerate in math. So you start a high school math track, and then you start a high school foreign language track. Those courses are also traditionally accepted if they leave us and go to high school. They can go on their high school transcript. And then the other classes are a repeat of the same standards, but in a different format. So they're getting a little bit more rigor or something like that with it. But yeah, it's not just a straight repeat, and it's not an easier year. We want it to actually be a little bit harder.
And that's good to say. Like, don't think, because as a student, I'm like, oh, I get to do the same stuff all over again. That's a no. Unless need to be, because sometimes academically,
sometimes we do have students that are not ready academically, and that's fine. That's a whole different conversation. But if we're talking about what we're seeing now is this surge of repeating 8th grade for athletics, then when they come to us, they have to apply for that. They have to interview with me. We have a whole process for that because we want to make sure it's the right fit for the student, the right fit for the family. Sometimes they're playing for a program. Sometimes they're just playing club. We want to just make sure that they're supported, so that because those high school credits are going to count.
Correct.
Towards their GPA. So they're starting their eligibility. It doesn't start their eligibility clock for the initial eligibility for the NCAA, but those credits will count towards their high school GPA.
Your attempt,
and that's serious.
Is it earned?
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Okay.
But,
so then, what are important steps that need to be taken and deadlines? Because we're right up on that right now, right?
We're right up on the deadline because in the state of Arizona, say your student went to a public district or a public charter, both public. But if you're going from a public district to a public charter and you're remaining in the same grade level, you have one state ID number. We don't want that state ID number to roll up to high school. We want that state ID number to remain in 8th grade. So there is timing. They need to be enrolled. If they're enrolling with us, they need to be enrolled, we say by June 15th, because the state rolls over. It's a fiscal year. They roll over July 1st. Everyone's on vacation.
Okay.
School is open. And then once you're kind of assigned that cohort year for high school, it's very difficult to go backwards. Now we have like some extenuating circumstances where things have been figured out, but I mean, I will get phone calls in September. The kids already started ninth grade, and you're like, no, you can't go back now. So we open the process in February of every school year and through June 15th. Sometimes we extend it to June 20th, but we just don't want them to be enrolled in high school anywhere and then it get rolled over. We want them to have one seat, and that's repeating eighth grade. So
Okay.
if people are hearing this and want that information, they just can go to our website and,
Okay.
find my email.
All right,
Send me
and
an email.
I will share that
Yeah.
information as well.
Yeah,
And
you
be
can
sure to
put that in the
fill
show
out.
notes. Yeah.
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 Yes, look at you. Yes, in the show notes, it would be in there.
There we go.
Definitely with the email address, with the important, the date, and we would definitely make sure, because that's really important. And like you said, once the rollover happens, it happens.
I mean, it's out of our hands. And I mean,
Yeah.
I've talked to parents that are like, who else can I talk to? I'm like, no, I mean, nobody. I'm sorry. But these are just this is just the rules of the game. And I can't go backwards, I'm not in charge of like the Arizona Department of Education. We have to be really conscious. And if a student starts their high school track, they start their high school track. That's just the way it is. But we have a really good group of repeating eighth graders last year, and we've interviewed and placed a lot this year. So we have some spots open still, but yeah, we're really also careful about our caseload for our teachers and like that kind of stuff too. So we want to
Right.
make sure that we don't overwhelm anybody's caseload. So that's why we have an approval process as well, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page going into it and know what to expect. So.
Okay. And so you actually just said something, again, very important. You said caseload and you mentioned teachers. So that's the other thing is people are like, so wait, what is this? So what is this like? What is school? Do they have teachers? Are they watching videos? Like, what are they doing?
It's a great question.
What
There's
are
lots
we
of assumptions.
doing?
Is it COVID? Is it, what is it?
Yeah.
And so I most people have some sort of college experience or professional development, like as an adult. And I
Correct.
say, okay, if you're thinking collegiately, you have one interaction with your professor per week, right? Like you go to that lecture, you go to that class, and you can email them, you can message them, you can ask questions to them or the TA, But yeah, we have certified teachers that teach every class. They're there to provide support with students. They have live interactions every week. For ELA, that looks like you're reading a novel and you go to the book study. You're writing a paper and you go to the writer's workshop. But the instruction is on our learning management system, which is through Canvas. So all their opportunities to learn and practice, that does look like videos or practice skills through different applications. But it's all under one spot, one-stop shop. And then they meet with their teachers for when they're demonstrating their knowledge, discussion-based assessments, anything like that. But the teacher's always available for them to message or meet with. They have open office hours. But it is a kind of more of a collegiate type thinking as opposed to, and it's a guide, a facilitator, as opposed to you go to Algebra 1 every day in your brick and mortar class and you see that teacher every single day. The interaction is different. So.
Right. So there may have been a technical difficulties. I don't know. Uh-oh. Let's see. We're gonna have her jump back in. So I lost Sarah. I'm gonna have her jump back in. This is today's technology. I love it. But this is all great information. I love having this conversation with her right now and being able to share this with you guys. And that's why REI Prep was created, again, to be able to support you guys academically. And everybody's different. Like, she's asking if she should rejoin. Yes, please. Everyone's different. So we want to be able to address and be available for those students and those families that want this type of platform and this type of learning. So Sarah's about to jump back in. And we will pick up on the platform as far as what she was saying about with the teachers. But again, it is, so for those parents, before, if you've taken like an online class, it's the same situation. So yes, there is a touch point. There is an instructor that's assigned, that is grading, that is meeting, there's office hours. And so we'll be providing the same thing. So pretty excited about that. Yeah, see, she's back. See, she got so excited and educated.
Apologies.
She acted like Beyonce and broke the
Internet dropped.
That's life. That's life.
My internet's gonna drop in the middle of this, and that's what it did. So the pleasures of working from home. You never know.
Right. It's called editing.
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
But yes. Okay. So you were talking about what the online platform looks like, what the students in the class
so
and the instructors.
Yeah, but yes, they have certified teachers that are very supportive. We have academic advisors. We have a principal. She's wonderful. And so I think that's what parents need to know, is that we are a school. We're a public school, where we serve students all throughout Arizona. We have multiple partners, and that we have an in-person graduation. We have community days. We have all of these things that we are,
we're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time.
We're going to have fun.
Yeah.
It's going to have a good time. It just looks very different, and we would prefer people to just ask questions. But yeah, it's not sitting in front of a screen all day. We don't want, obviously, that's not what we want. We want students to log in, look at their to-do list, look at their calendar, touch each course each day, complete what's due that day, and then they go on with their day and pursue, their passion, what they love to do. But it is, some days might take a little bit longer, some days might be a little bit shorter, and students will get into a rhythm. That takes some time. We help them with that and provide support. But we have an amazing team of educators that are here, willing to do school differently with these kiddos, and with the families.
Yeah.
It really takes everybody.
Right, it does. It definitely, it still takes a village, no matter what people says. And I like the fact that you guys mentioned, you guys have community days, and we'll be doing the same thing. We do, like, I'm a firm believer, even if you're a gamer, you need to come out and touch the grass. And you should get out the house.
Right.
So we'll be creating events as well. Like, we'll be having, gaming tournaments. We'll be having, field trips to a Mercury game or a Valley Suns game, or going to, we have a great partnership now with Rebel Surf, where, they do adaptive surfboarding. They do adaptive surf lessons, and where our students who are looking at sports career, yes, they can come out and help run these events. So that's the beauty of it. Is like, if you want to work in sports and career or see what that looks like, we've created partnerships like with Player 15 Group and so forth, so that you can come out and get the experience, so that you can do the work, so that we can see that, and so that you can experience it. So at the same time, you can say, oh, I like this, or I don't like this. Oh, what are they doing over there? I think I'm interested in that. But again, still building that portfolio, building your resume. It helps you to get summer interns. I have one of my kids, Jesse, who's 16, who just got an internship with the Suns for the summer. So it creates these type of things and opportunities, and so we want to do that. But again, those are partnerships that we're creating so that you can get real world experience. But academically, also, Premier Prep is creating a partnership with Accelerated ASU. Can you explain to us and the parents what that looks like?
We're a partner school with ASU Accelerate. That's their Universal Learner Program. Basically, they wanted to provide more equitable access for any learner. Adult learners too, younger learners, but high school students especially, to have a runway into college courses without having to enroll and apply, get accepted. Anybody who's gone through the application process to a college knows it can be kind of tedious and daunting. So this is just for, we want them to be prepared for that. And I do say to the students, you need to be able to manage this.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm not sure you're college and career ready, and we need to work on that. But what's nice is that we have a partnership, so we can help them choose classes that are relevant to what their pathway is. Help them, they enroll in the course, they only pay $25 up front. They do the whole college course. And then at the end, if they're satisfied with their grade, they pay $400 per course for it to go on their ASU transcript. For us, it's an honors credit. So it's a concurrent enrollment. They're enrolled with us. They're enrolled with ASU Accelerate. We handle, a lot of the advising pieces of it to help them. And then we reimburse for the school year up to $1,000 per student. So they can get some of those for free, courses for free under their credit. They pay for them, we reimburse. So we're really not pushing. We've always had students who have taken it, but they have more humanities and arts classes now that they're offering. So some more electives for our underclassmen who have been with us. The only prerequisite is that you've been at Premier Prep Online Academy for a semester, unless you've done an academic interview with our principal because you're coming in, with really high academics, IB, AP. That's a different story. And then we obviously want to meet students where they are, and sometimes we have to make exceptions. But for the most part, our students get used to our platform first, then add a college class. But by the time you're a junior or a senior, there's multiple options for you to be taking college classes and earning college credits.
Okay, so if they're transferring in from a school where they already were taking collage credits, then
And then that's somebody that would have, yep. So students who've
Exception.
already taken college credits at a different school, it's students who have never taken a college class, never been in an online environment, that we want them to get used to our environment first, and then
Right.
get to know them as a student. But we always say, our course catalog is very general, because there's no way we can catalog 250 different pathways, which is what we have. We have 250 to 300 different pathways, depending on the time because every student's pathway is unique, and we just want to meet them where they are at. So if a student's coming in, my valedictorian last year, he was, basically done with high school, but he went to Colorado School of the Mines, so he took all engineering classes at ASU. I didn't sit down and say, well, you have to be with us first, He was already light years ahead of everybody else, so we just let him keep going. We're not going to slow anybody down. So there's always exceptions to the policy. But yes, we do have those conversations with students. We have those conversations with families. We just want to ensure that that's what the learner wants. Sometimes parents want honors classes, but students don't. And so we really want to have that conversation and ensure that everyone's on the same page with what that looks like, and ensure that everyone's, ready for that opportunity. But it's fantastic. And we have my ASU person. We have multiple ASU people that we are, really well connected with, and they are very supportive. And just a great mindset of education should be. That's why we're a public school. Is education should be equitable, equal access. And so we have that same philosophy and mindset.
Great. And then so again, to touch on again, the school and the offerings. So Premier Prep for REI Prep, Premier Prep is the educational component for our students. The main, let me correct that, the main educational component for them. And that is a online charter school that's through Chandler Public School District. And then
It's just
it
through the
is
state. We're approved by the state. So statewide
which is
entity.
even better. Again, students in Yuma, Tucson, Prescott Valley, all y'all
Anybody.
come.
Yeah.
Everybody. If you're an Arizona resident, you can attend, and it is tuition free.
Correct.
I don't know
Yes,
about
we
you,
are
but I like
tuition free.
$3.99.
Yes.
And here's the thing: you get the education, you get the support and the resources of a private school, if not more. Because and not saying they don't care, but we care. You know what I mean? Like it is about.
And we're held accountable. Like you can look up. It'll
That is true.
You can look it up. Like we're held accountable for the same standards as like Hamilton High School. If we're talking about a large district or Mesa Public Schools, we're held accountable.
Correct.
We're just delivering the instruction differently in a different model.
Yeah. It's online. And then so with us, where this creates the opportunity. So this is why this relationship makes sense. So people want to know, okay, so again, what is REI Prep? So what happens is you're going to school, you're getting your educational piece through Premier Prep, and then with us, we're creating that structure. And then we're also training you. So you have your practice, you have your training. And so these are for your student athletes, right? So you're still getting the competitive component and ability and access. And it doesn't just have to be competitive. You can be developing. You can just love basketball and you want to develop and play on a team to the point where you can be on the team that's going to the grind session or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we come from the mindset of just everybody should be able to have some point to be competitive or play, and just be a part of the game. If you want to play, let's figure it out and see where you stand and make that happen. And then again, those who want to be behind the scenes, we want to be able to help you. And then so along with the coursework that is in place with Premier Prep, we've also created our own additional some electives. And again, because we do want you to have the option to get out the house, some of those electives, you have the option to do that in person so that we can have conversations, so you can mingle with your peers for the ones who want to come out. And then again, that's why we created the real world experiences. So, okay, now you're learning it and you're doing it, but what does that really look like? Let's apply it and let's have fun, and make an impact and make a difference. And then again, even with the gaming, we're going to be doing tournaments. So like ASU, again, we already have that partnership.
Yeah.
ASU has a gaming degree and they have a great esports lounge. So we're going to be doing tournaments.
And they have a great onboarding elective for game design. Like
exactly, which would be part of the pathway.
Our students can take.
So we're
yeah.
pulling some of
Yep.
this. Yep, we're already pulling those classes in there because again, we already understand that this is a sports world
Right.
in regards to the student body that we have, and so your students and then your players. But then you may be students and you're a photographer. You may be students and then you're a trainer. You're a student or, a business person. And honestly, you might just be a student who want to be around this, right? You don't have to even, sports isn't like your thing, but then you kind of like it. You can be a fan of sports and want to be in this type of environment. I want something different. Because again, at the end of the day, you still have your traditional classes that you're taking. You're still taking algebra, history,
you're still
English.
taking them because
you're still doing that.
You're
You're still taking them, but we just get
You need them to graduate.
Thank you. You need them.
Yeah.
But what if your English class was focused on sports movies and sports books? I don't know. Might be a little bit fun. Let me watch Coach Carter for a grade.
I know.
So that's the fun part and the things that we could get to do. And so that's why this partnership and relationship is really great and really helpful for those families who are looking for something that is a little bit different. We have an AI lab, again, to help you understand how it's here. If you're not already using, which I'm sure you are, because I know my sons, they was like, what is taking you so long to use it, which happens.
Oh, yeah.
But for players, using it for highlights, using it for real, for those who are in the sports career world, using it for marketing, using it to help with data, those in gaming, helping with setting up their Twitch channels, all those type of things. So there's a lot of fun stuff. We're excited. There are deadlines. You need to enroll now, especially if you're looking at reclassification. You just heard Sarah say, like, yesterday, like, they started that process in February.
Yes.
And once you roll over, once you're a high schooler, you're a high schooler. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that's a great summary
Thank you for
of the
taking the time
partnership.
and,
Yeah.
chatting with it. Is there any other, like, things that you would want to share or, like, tips or information that might have missed in kind of an info 101? This is that first introduction to what's going on in y'all world. What are y'all doing over there, and why are you doing it? And now they get to see some faces, and so.
Yeah.
And-
Well, I just think, if, like I said before, if families are looking for something different for students in 7th through 12th grade, athlete or not, some people just need a different experience or a fresh start, and, we're here for that. I don't think I mentioned, but, we're a public school, we do IEPs, we do 504s, we have a whole team. But what we really want
That's
is to
important,
create,
right?
Yeah, we want lasting relationships with families. We want to build, strong structures for students and rigorous academics that really just give them the time and effort to do something that they love with accountability, with, you know, those check-ins and with live teachers. We want to have a balance of, we say our learning remains human-centric even though it's online. It's very much about the human. It's very much about our students and what they love to do. And so we just invite anybody to stop by our website. We have wonderful office staff that can answer lots of questions. But there's lots of things on our website about curriculum and advising, our portrait of a graduate, just all that stuff is there and available for families. But if you have questions, feel free to reach out, and we're really excited about what's next and our partnership with REI Prep, and excited to get things going.
I am too. I know. So I will share all the info to be able to contact either myself or Sarah or both, and just get your questions answered. And here's another thing: if it's not for you, but you maybe know someone it might be for, because you got that cousin
Right.
or that neighbor or that person in your church group, share it with them and just let them know, and have them book a discovery session or send us an email and just get some questions answered. We love answering questions and just
Yes, we
helping,
do.
again, just let you know what's developed. Yeah, right. And then it helps us to continue to grow and see how to service you properly. So,
Absolutely.
because that's the thing. You're like, please hold. Let me get that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, you guys.
That's right.
Well, thank you. We're gonna wrap this up. This is our first introduction. This is
So
REI Sports
thrilled to be a
Network.
part of it.
Again, I know this is so exciting, and at the end of the day, we just want to make sure to welcome you to the run. So, you guys have a great rest of your day.